I'm Judy Stiles. Thank you for joining us this week on Newsmakers. Today we visit with the Joplin City Clerk, Barb Hogelin, and we're going to find out about a special recognition she received as well as the role of the clerk in the city. Thank you for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me. I
think we'll start off by congratulations as well. You received an Outstanding City Clerk of Missouri award recently.
I did. Surprise, surprise. I guess it's been 3 weeks since I got that award, but I am totally surprised by City Manager Sam Anslem nominated me for this award, and it is the highest honor that a city clerk can receive in the state of Missouri. It is by two people on the board. It's by the Illinois State President and the Kansas State President, Picshu, and I feel honored and blessed to have received this award, and I'm thrilled to death to have received it.
Okay. And of course, recently at a city council meeting, there was a special presentation where they presented an award to you publicly here in Joplin. You were out of town when the award was presented at a conference. So.
Right, and then the state came down and presented that award to me. And again, I told the council, and they had a reception before the council meeting for me, and present members of council were there, and past members of council came for it, plus city employees as well, and friends. It's an honor. It's an honor to be a city clerk. You know, I tell everybody I think I have the best job in the city and the best job in the world, but you know, it's a diverse job. We honor and we're blessed to have this job. We are when citizens come in that door, sometimes they're not all the time, you know, real happy, because sometimes they want to see their council person. We try to help them out the best we can. So it's, like I say, it's just a real thrill to serve our city.
Well, we were there at that meeting as well, KGCS, and we do have a video clip, so I'd like to share that with the audience, where a representative from the City Clerk and Finance Officers Association actually presented that award. So if you're watching, stay tuned. Let's take a look at the video clip from City Council.
To me, this is probably the most prestigious award you could earn, because you're not only nominated by your fellow peers, but you are selected by professionals. So it's quite an honor to win this award. Barbara Hogelin was awarded this award at our City Clerk Spring Institute this last March. And needless to say, she was a little speechless. I heard "oh my" about 30 times. But it's understandable. We do keep it a surprise, and she was totally stunned when she received this award, although she shouldn't have been. She's been very active in our association, in our division. She's held numerous positions in these associations, and she goes above and beyond the call of duty, not only professionally, but in the community. And so I personally couldn't find anyone more deserving of this award than Barb.
I am thrilled, and I want to thank my city manager, Sam Anslem, for nominating me for this award. I love my job. I love my position, council and past council members that were here tonight as well. I appreciate it. It is absolutely, like I have said 100 times over, it is absolutely the best job anyone could possibly have, as you girls know as well as I. And again, I thank you. I'm deeply touched, honored, and blessed to have received this award. And you're right, I was speechless. And thank you all. Thank you so very much.
That was a clip from a recent city council meeting. The ladies who were joining you up front were also city clerks from the region.
That is correct. That is correct. They're city clerks from this area, from Carterville, Oronogo, and Webb City. Right. And Mary Beth's from, she is from Carl Junction.
Now, someone who's watching might want to, we have to define the role of a city clerk, or what the title, what does it mean when somebody has that? Every city has a city clerk, basically.
Ours is a charter appointed by the council, and just about, and it's the oldest profession in history. And like I say, ours is appointed by council, and you know, we have quite the role. We have to, my position is we have to take the minutes for council. Mm-hmm. We have to authenticate while the ordinances are passed, and we have to authenticate those that become law.
So you're the official record keeper for the city.
Absolutely. As custodian of the records. That's just part of my title. So it's a very, very important title to have, that if we didn't have those laws, then we wouldn't have the ordinances that surpass for the city.
You mentioned the city council. The city council are elected representatives. You're hired then by the council to perform these duties for the city.
That's right. And then therefore we have the elections, and they will be coming up this fall where they could pick up petitions. We supply the petitions to them when they come in, and that will happen later on in November.
And now in the past we've talked about there is a set timetable for city elections. I mean, you're a year out now from the next election, but there's a procedure people need to look at.
That's right. Our council is elected by nomination by petitions, and we supply those petitions. And it's they're even numbered years, and we have 9 council members, so they go 4 years and for their election, and then but they go every even numbered year. So we go 5 council members, and then the next time around we go 4 council members. And then after they become, and the thing about this is after they become council members, then they'll elect one right after the council, the very next meeting after that, they'll elect one of them to become mayor. So they haven't seen each other very much, and then but by charter, by the laws of the council, they elect that very next Monday, that sitting Monday, they elect one of them to become mayor, and that's a 2-year term. Council's elected for 4-year terms, but the mayor will serve a 2-year term, and they can serve 2 2-year terms. In fact, our current mayor is on his 2nd term as mayor.
And of course, you worked with the council, but you mentioned the city manager in that soundbite. So the other city staff, you are part of that team.
Well, yes, there again, there are the city manager, the city attorney, the judge, and the public defender. And the city clerk. We work directly under, we answer to council. Okay.
And so when it comes to planning the meetings, if people watch city council meetings, they see there's a set structure, an agenda, order, and so forth. Tell me about your role and what goes on behind the scenes before we even see the meetings in public.
Well, okay, that's our office, and I have an assistant. And the week before, we have a agenda prep meeting in the room next door to mine, and we meet, and department heads come in there, and the department heads work under the city manager, and they tell me what's going to happen on the agenda. And then we have a computer system, and they put everything into the computer system. But that meeting specifically is to let me know what's going to come on the agenda, because my office prepares the agenda, and then we send it out electronically to the council. And this makes it a little bit more easier now that we have this electronic age era that we can send
to print it and mail it to everybody or deliver it.
However, we do make some paper books for council, but it sure makes it a lot easier now to do this electronically. And sometimes our agenda's long, and sometimes it's it's not. And then in between the 2nd Monday of the month, we have what we call a work session where we can meet and do items that are not related to agenda items, but council can meet on informal items.
Now, the public's probably heard a lot about open meetings and open records, and your office is from the media come in and say they have the right to see that agenda in advance, and they have deadlines.
Open meetings are not my favorite thing, but it is part of the process. I meant open meeting records. Sometimes we get this sunshine law thing that we have to process these open meeting requests, and they come from anything and everywhere and all over. Mostly they're lawyers, but I have to abide by them.
So you have to find the records they're requesting.
I do, and they go to every department, and they come from all over the country, and you have to deal with them within 72 hours. And what I mean by 72 hours, you have to respond back to the party that asked for them, that you're either working on it or you have to answer it. And it is the law. It is the sunshine law. And every clerk in America has dealt with this, and I say it's my pet peeve. It's everybody's pet peeve.
It takes some time to get things together.
And you can charge for it. There is a section from 2004. The Missouri legislators made this. You can charge 10 cents a copy, and plus the time of the lowest paid secretary in the organization. And you know, I have to laugh, and I say I eat, sleep, and drink my job, but literally I do. I eat, sleep, and drink my job, and I have. Here I go off on a rampage, but I literally have a notepad and pencil and paper by my bed if I wake up during the night
thinking about something right down.
You better believe it. And I think of something, or because I can't call my assistant during the night and say, hey, we got to do this. But open records and some in the past, especially after the tornado, some of our open records thing have just been inundated with boxes and boxes and boxes, and we have literally had, and I won't say where it came from, but we have had a bill up to over $700, and they paid it, and it was local, that they requested all these documents, and they asked for it, and everybody had to produce it. But you know what? You have to literally stop what you're doing. And some of the departments will say, well, who's going to do my job while I'm digging all this information? And that's the truth. Who's going to do your job while you're digging all this information up?
Now, the storage of these records, you mentioned signing ordinances and so forth. Tell me about the archive aspect. So if somebody says, I think I remember something happening in 1986, you're able to go back and find those.
My favorite place. You know, I'll just tell you, you know, I get evaluated every year by council. And it used to be, I would go in for evaluation, and I got to tell you what I did. I took some old brownish paper and I made a copy of the very first resolution and the very first ordinance of the city of Joplin, and literally walked in and I threw them in the air and I said, what's the ordinances, the first and ordinance and resolution, what it's worth to you if you can't find it and you don't have it. And I stunned the council. So back then, Harold McCoy, good old Harold McCoy, I love that man to death. He said, Barbara, will you quit griping if we give you a building?
Place to put these records, right?
And I got it. When they moved the health department over to the Public Works, and they moved Public Works to our now building in 2005, they gave me the 509 Kentucky, the record storage facility, and I just went, oh, woohoo. And I had gotten a grant in '97 for $17,000, and we had everything microfilmed. The only thing is Dr. Clark did not want our records going up to St. Joe, where the microfilm company was. So they had to come down here and microfilm everything.
On location, so you didn't lose them in transit or damage.
And then when I got the 509, which is the old, you know, women, infant, and children, I got that building, and I got another grant from the Secretary of State's office. I was thrilled, and it's for, I got 2 humidifiers, got shelving, we got more shelving, and we got this Energen system which shoots out, if there were a fire, shoots out that white chemical and puts the fire out.
So fire protection.
And so we got that, and we were able to bring from the old Naval Reserve building, from paper, plats, mats, everything all over the city, and put over that 509 Kentucky.
So it's one central location now of history of the city and the ordinances.
It's great. I was the only city clerk in the state of Missouri with a dry building for paper storage only, and that shut me up. I didn't ask for anything else, and my assistant and I, we lock you, open the door and let you in, and we let you out, and nobody else except for maintenance has a key to that building.
So even though we're in the electronic age, like you mentioned, there's still importance to having those original paper copies, the original paper material.
Well, especially, some of those buildings you have to keep them for beyond the building life. Plus, if there were a fire like there was out on 35th Time, that apartment that burned down, even though it was very old, the fire department, they still want to see the plans of that building, and plus for insurance purposes and things like that. And then when they built the new St. John's building, oh my goodness, the paper storage that you have to maintain
construction and everything.
And then we're able to lock the back rooms for privacy, you know, purposes and all that. There's major rooms back in the back we can lock. It's great. We're so grateful and so thankful for having that building. I'm just elated.
So it's preserving history for the future of the city.
Oh, absolutely. And some of those, like HR, they have a private room there. Some of those records have to be kept for 75 years.
So that's there for preservation.
And the Secretary of State's office, they only recognize microfilming. They do not recognize the digital age because the media changes, as you well know.
So if you put it on a disc, that's not going to be there next 10 years. Who knows what's going on, tying it together. Well, you mentioned history, and I know you have another project that you really have been in love with for the years of the history, sharing the history and the city with youngsters. So let's talk about that. You're working with education and history.
Oh my gosh, well, the little third graders, I started that way back in the other building back in '94 where the teachers would bring them in and we'd share with the police and fire and the courts and all that, and we'd do little 30-minute tours. And of course then when we moved over to the famous Newman building, I still do the school tours. In fact, just had them today too, and it's just part of the curriculum. And we talk about the Thomas Hart Benton, the art, and the council, and if we have time, we go on up to the 5th floor over here, and then they head on out to the museum, and we share that. We split it with the museum, and it's so great. And when third grade just introduced it and made it part of their curriculum, they said, why not? So, you know, I've just been doing that since '94. I started in '93, but I've been doing it since '94, and it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing to share this, and they love it. And now they share things with me, and I want to sit down and listen to them.
So they're learning before they even come to your building.
It's great. It's just great. I love it.
Now, you mentioned the old building, and quote, we still call it the new building, but the city has gone through a transition with an older city hall where the fire department and police are at now to the Newman building where you're at. Exactly. That was a major change for the city when you actually got that building and renovated it for a city's purpose.
You know, it was, and it was Ron Richard that had the foresight of looking and saying the city needed the Newman building. And I think that was a step in the right direction. And they said that my office made the most significant change. You know, we went from one little room with 2 people in one room to the building that we're in right now, and my office particularly was an original room, and then we added on the outer office, and then a work room next door, and then the room to the side are council rooms, and they've never used it. I've been able to use it for storage as well. And then we've got that whole 5th floor that's the council chambers, and it is just humongous, and it's beautiful, just a beautiful
It was built with user friendliness in mind, as far as the public being able to come in and use the facility.
Absolutely. And you know, you've got to go back to the third graders. We had third graders come up and walk on our floor, and they thought they were in a hotel lobby. It is just a beautiful building, absolutely.
And of course, identity with the city, and you were playing a key role in when you walk in the main lobby, they have a City of Joplin seal. You know, that people know when they walk in there, we're in the Joplin City building.
Well, I got to go back a few years, 2005, when I got to walk in for the first time when they started remodeling. They didn't have to do a whole lot to that building, but one of the things I wanted to do, somehow, I said it would be great if we could put our city seal that was adopted in 1917 right smack in the middle of this floor. I knew we didn't have any money to do that, and the only way to do it was to get the money from the citizens. So the city let me recoup it by, we had a miniature building.
Right, little model of the building.
We got that, and we bought 360 of them, and then we turned around and we bought them at $26, turned around and sold them for $50, and the citizens bought them. And so we made our money, and then we were able to buy the seal that sits right in the middle on that floor. Now, I will say, there's only about 27 buildings left from that purchase back in the day, but we made our money, and the money we made that's left over goes for the window decorations on there. So, but when they're gone, they're gone.
So if you haven't received one yet, there's still
there's just a very few left, and when they're gone, and they are lighted and numbered.
Now, you mentioned window decorations, and the holiday season, I guess a tradition continues now where that building becomes a highlight of downtown with your window decorations.
We started in 2009. We bought ceramic figurines, a family, and we just put them in the windows, and then that kind of escalated. And I have Dixie Boyd Carter and June Stokes, window decorators. They're retiring this year along with me, and we're looking for someone or a group to take over that window decorating. But like I said, it started in 2009, and in 2010 we won from Main Street, Missouri, USA. We won for the animation award, and we were very fortunate to win that. But the windows do come to life, and it is just so cute to see the little children and men and women alike, everyone, just to come up. And one little girl came up one year and just kissed the window and just licked it. So it's just cute. It's so cute.
But it kind of takes you back in time when it was a department store, and that's how they displayed.
And that's exactly what we want. And right now we have on the main lobby, someone gave us some pictures of what the department store window display looked like. That it was their own
collection. Actually, when they were running the department store.
They're in the floor right now on display in the lobby, and beautiful.
Now, that first floor area, when you do walk in, like say you have displays, and sometimes they change, so you kind of tie into the history of the city and different types of displays and presentations.
Convention and Visitors Bureau helps out with that and brings some artwork and different types from Missouri Route 66 and adds to that. It is just beautiful.
So if someone hasn't been by the City Hall, there's a great opportunity to go see.
Absolutely.
And the council chambers on the, like you say, the top floor, basically. The council chambers are modernized. The building you were in, I know the old building years ago, I used to go to that. It was kind of a joint city council chamber, judge's chamber, and now you have it specifically designed for those council meetings.
Right, exactly. And we've gotten so large that we're also, we use it for board and commission meetings too, those that have to be televised and taped. And then we're also using it for daily meetings too. It has become more useful than it used to be.
Now, you mentioned boards and commissions. I know we've talked in the past about citizen involvement, and that's one way for people who aren't council members but just John Q. Public to get involved. And your office is key as far as if people want to help out.
Absolutely. We have 26 boards and commissions, and there again, anybody that feels like they want to, it's as easy as just applying. Whether they can call our office, or they can come in, or we can send them an application to become, if they want to get involved. And you never know if you've got an interest or just getting involved, and you might have a hidden talent that you don't even know about. And we really would like people to be. We have some boards and commissions that we need applicants for, and then we have boards and commissions that you never know when someone for some reason might resign.
Right, they move or something happens like that, right?
Yeah, or get ill or something like that, or just they feel like they don't no longer want to serve or something like that. But yes, we do, and then. Or they can email, but we'll get it to them. We'll get them that application, or they can come in our office. We're open 8 to 5. We'll get them the app. If they're willing to fill it out, we'll get them the app.
If they're willing to volunteer, you'll help them out
will.
And so forth. Well, working with the city as city clerk, people might be watching. So, what started your initial interest in working as a city clerk?
Well,
initial history.
First I started out as a deputy. It was a deputy city clerk, and it was just part-time. And my shorthand got me that job. And and there it just escalated. It became more than just 20 hours a week, and that's what drove me into this job. So, and that was it.
Keys to success as you representing city clerks statewide. Now, if someone were to ask you, well, what does it take to be a successful city clerk? One or two of your peers.
You've just got to love the people. You've got to be people friendly and love what you do, and just put that smile and wear that smile. That's what it's going to take.
So you are the face to the public in many cases. When they walk in the building, they're not going to run into the council members maybe, or the mayor's not going to be there. They're going to talk to you.
And that's true, but lots of times the mayor's already been there today. The mayor was there yesterday. The mayor's there a lot. Even though he has a full-time job, we do see him a lot because we do something called proclamations. And I would say, in talking to other clerks all over, we do more proclamations than probably any other city in the state state of Missouri. And this is proclamation heavy right now. He presents them everywhere, and they're kind of going out the door a lot.
So special recognition for people with their accomplishments, their honors.
Our honors, or, you know, he proclaims quite a bit of things, yes.
I know you have a lot of groups. You mentioned the educational aspect. You have Girl Scout, Boy Scouts, a lot of people coming in, you know, to the building, tourists, a lot of people.
And, you know, all over the world, you know, the city offices sit on the original Route 66, and tours come in from literally all over the world, and they just want to get their picture taken just standing there.
I'm in Joplin, this is the place.
Absolutely.
Well, you mentioned retirement, and of course people are curious. I'm
going to retire.
So
I'm retiring at the end of the year.
So that will be a big change in your life.
Well, it's really not going to be a big change, other than I have 6 grandchildren, and I'm going to follow them in their activities, and that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
Right. What stands out most in your mind, your memory, as far as working as city clerk over these years?
Well, you know, it's all been good. I'd have to say, just the different council people. I have served 17 councils. And it was great seeing some of the past councils the other night.
Came the other night,
oh,
right?
It was great. I'm so appreciative, just so appreciative for the opportunity that I've had. And then I've gotten to travel a lot. Right. I belong to the international organization. And I would just say that all the opportunities I've had and have been given to me, and I'm very blessed.
Good. I know in your role, as we say, meeting the public, getting to work with the council members, you know, someone might ask you, well, what makes Joplin a great place to not only work, but to live? Why does Joplin stand out? You go to all these conventions and meetings, so what makes Joplin special? Well,
you know, everybody knows Joplin. You know, it's fun, and they will know Joplin, or they'll know somebody that lives Joplin or nearby Joplin, and they'll say, well, I know exactly where Joplin is. I know it's not the tornado. It was before that. Pre-tornado. They will know Joplin. I would say Route 66 really is a big hit, and you've got to say, that's it. You hit it right on. And I trade pens. I have a big pen collection, and they will want your pen, but they'll just want to talk to you about Joplin. Right. And that's what it's all about, networking. That is the biggest thing, just standing and listening. And one other thing, I trade ordinances, or not trade ordinances, I send my ordinances out. And some will, so they won't have to invent the ordinance.
Have you dealt with this? Here's how we dealt with it. Right.
Oh, absolutely. And it's just easy to give them our ordinances. We've already got it. And I can send it all across the country. And they love that, because they don't have to write it.
So a good support system for city clerks everywhere nationwide.
Absolutely.
Well, Barbara, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us today. Congratulate you again once on the award.
Thank you.
And kind of early congratulations for retirement that'll come up at the end of the year.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And I'd like to thank the viewers. Thank you for joining us this week for Newsmakers. I'm Judy Stiles. Hope you can join me again next week at the same time on this station. We'll see you then.